Every second, the Indian economy generates an ocean of digital exhaust, transactions, tax filings, and vehicle registrations that move too fast for traditional measurement. To capture that volume, India's National Statistical Office has built a new engine for GDP calculation, replacing a decade-old framework. This chart shows the result of that recalibration. By shifting the base year, the 2025-26 real GDP growth estimate moves to 7.6%. This trajectory is more than a change in the headline number. The old gray line relied on a methodology known as benchmark indicator. It used historical benchmarks to extrapolate current performance, a low-resolution approach that struggled to track a rapidly formalizing economy. The new framework represents a structural rewiring of how India measures its economic health. It plugs national statistics directly into population-scale digital infrastructure to eliminate the blind spots of the old survey system. Measuring a $3 trillion economy requires a high-resolution lens. By moving to a 2022-23 base, the NSO has replaced proxy indicators with real-time deterministic data. A base year is the mathematical anchor of a national economy. It provides the fixed price point used to strip out inflation and calculate true, real growth. India's NSO recently jumped that anchor forward, moving the base year from 2011-12 directly to 2022-23. That jump deliberately bypasses the period between 2019 and 2021. The pandemic created extreme consumption distortions and supply chain shocks that made those years statistically unreliable. Anchoring the economy to 2020 would have baked those anomalies into every future growth model. 2022-23 was selected because it represents the first stabilized post-pandemic period. Skipping the crisis years entirely ensures that the new baseline reflects normal economic behavior rather than the anomalies of a massive generational disruption. Urgent, building momentum. But changing the when of the data was only the first step. The NSO also overhauled the how. This is the logic of the new GDP calculation engine. It phases out low-frequency survey extrapolations and replaces them with direct digital integrations. The first input node is the Goods and Services Tax Network. This stream allows for the precise allocation of corporate sector estimates across individual states. The middle feed connects to the e-Vahan portal. Using real-time vehicle registration data, the engine calculates private consumption expenditure for the road transport sector with zero lag. This high-fidelity measurement is only possible because of India's retail digital transaction landscape, which has formalizing economic activity at a population scale. This digital footprint extends to government spending through the Public Financial Management System, or PFMS. PFMS provides actual end-to-end digital expenditure figures, eliminating the need to rely on delayed revised estimates. Replacing analog proxy samples with deterministic, API-driven datasets anchors GDP in observed economic activity rather than speculative projection. Even with a digital pipeline, a model is only as good as its map. For years, the informal and gig sectors were a massive blind spot for corporate-centric models. If you only look at corporate filings, you miss a huge portion of the modern Indian workforce. Over the last decade, gig platforms and unincorporated enterprises have expanded far beyond the old corporate boundaries. To capture this, the NSO now pulls annual data from the Survey of Unincorporated Sector Enterprises and the Periodic Labor Force Survey. They've even added specific metrics for hired domestic workers, using actual counts and recorded wages rather than proxies. Formally measuring the informal sector doesn't just add to the numbers, it corrects the map to reflect where modern Indian labor actually resides. Capturing the data is the start. Reconciling it is where the advanced mathematics comes in. A historical flaw in national accounts was the discrepancy between production-side estimates and expenditure-side estimates. The solution is the Supply and Use Tables, or SUT framework. The left side tracks supply, the total volume of products entering the economy. The right side tracks use, how those products are consumed by households or the government. When these don't match, you get a statistical discrepancy. The NSO now uses a product balancing algorithm that forces these two sides into equilibrium, removing the discrepancy row from the final accounts. At the same time, they've refined how the economy handles inflation. For manufacturing and agriculture, they've moved from single deflation to a double deflation method. This uses over 260 item-level price indices to ensure that price changes in raw materials don't give a false impression of growth in final output. The integration of SUTs and double deflation allows the NSO to reconcile these datasets, creating an internally consistent measure of economic activity. This is the unified architecture of India's new national accounts. The 7.6% growth figure is the output of this engineered system, not just a headline, but a verified result. This modernization is a key part of the broader administrative reforms that define India's current fiscal stewardship. It brings India into full alignment with the UN's System of National Accounts 2008 standard. That foundation will allow for a seamless transition to the upcoming global SNA 2025 standard in the next few years. The framework moves from infrequent analog surveys toward real-time deterministic digital intelligence. As India solidifies its role as a global economic anchor, its ability to navigate uncertainty depends on the high-fidelity resolution of this statistical engine.